Hello everyone, welcome to this course. I'm super excited to have you. This is the introduction video, and in this lecture we're going to talk about what React is, what are the alternates possible to it, and why most people prefer React. Also, we are going to look at something called single page applications, which are a prime application of React. So without wasting any time, let's dive deep into it. Okay, so what is this course? This course is designed to teach you React, and in every single lecture what we are going to do is we are going to take a feature that is provided to us by React. We're going to discuss that, then we are going to play with that feature, look at what the syntax looks like and more. Then once we are done with that, we are going to apply that to a real world application or check in our own domain where we can apply that feature. Oh, by the way, sorry, I forgot to mention. In this project, once we are done with the foundation bits of React, we are going to start a project. And in that project, we are going to build that project from scratch to a production ready application. Whatever we are going to learn in coming lectures, we are going to take that knowledge and apply that to that project itself. We are going to find scenarios where that application will be profited from whatever we learned today in that given lecture, and then we are going to apply that skill, and doing that we will build the project as a complete React app to be precise, at the end of this series. So that is one additional feature that you will get after the completion of this course. Also, we are going to talk about metrics like performances, because that's really important, knowing what can cause a lack in performance, especially in React, and how React works. So you know that what are some practices that you should avoid so that you can have a React app that performs to its maximum potential. Also, another key point is that you must know what can cause a downgrade in performance. And knowing that is also helpful, because more than improving the performance, you shouldn't do something that will decrease the performance, if not say increase. So we'll look at that too. Okay, so where do we start in this course? We start from the very basics. You have a knowledge of HTML, CSS and JavaScript. That is the prerequisite to this course. If you don't, then I'll highly recommend you to go back and take a HTML, CSS and JavaScript course first, then come back and join us again. And assuming you do have HTML, CSS and JavaScript knowledge, then we are gonna learn React. We are gonna learn React from the very basics, talking about JSX and props, state, components, and then building from there to building a real world app with Redux and context, and managing user state and actions and forms and network data and everything. And we are going to learn every single bit of that and make that application as we go along. Okay, so that is what we are going to do. Now, one good thing that you can do while learning any new technology is knowing why it was needed. Before React, there were technologies like jQuery, and jQuery, mind you, is not a bad library. It's actually amazing if you think about it. But jQuery and React are two different technologies. They are different in a way that their internal working is different. Let's talk about jQuery for a bit. jQuery is a DOM manipulation library. What does that mean is, everything that you can do with jQuery you can do with plain native JavaScript, but it'll take a little more hassle. So can't you do anything that you can do with React with plain JavaScript? Yes, but I'll say that if comparing with jQuery and React, the React bit is more hard, and you will know how. Let's talk about jQuery again. jQuery is a DOM manipulation library. What HTML does is it creates DOM elements, say a top HTML tag, and there is this body tag inside it, and body tag has a paragraph tag, and inside the paragraph tag there is a bold tag, and inside that is a link. These things to JavaScript or to the browser are represented as DOM nodes, and that you must know, which is a part of JavaScript that is known as DOM manipulation. So say you want to change the color of the background of a given tag, or you want to do something like that, then what you do is you do those things via JavaScript when a user clicks. So let's see an example of that. Let me just go and open Sublime, and we're going to create a simple HTML file. Let's just save this, and in desktop we have this record course, and this is lecture 1, and let's save this test.html. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to build a simple HTML file, and very quickly you can also use this as a refresher if you haven't touched this topic in a long time. So what I want to do now is I want to create a paragraph, and I'll call this is a paragraph. Okay, now I want to write some JavaScript so that when the user clicks a button, then this says that the button was clicked. Now for that I need a button first, so I'll make a button, and if you know HTML, nothing should be new. Okay, and I call it click me. Okay, done. Now let's look at this problem. What we want to do is we want to have a button, this button, click me, and when the user clicks this button, we want to change the text in this paragraph. Okay, that seems like a decent problem. So first of all, we need a mechanism so that we can listen to events, specifically click event on this button. So what I can do is I can give this button an ID, and this is also simple JavaScript. So say click me button. Okay, and then if you know that via document dot get element by ID, and using the same ID, and let me just copy that so that there is no typing bugs, I will get a direct reference to this DOM node. That's what a DOM node is. The button click me button specifically is a HTML DOM element. In JavaScript, if I want to get access to that particular element, I will use the document object that sits at top of the document hierarchy, and then I'll search for this node. Now ID is just a label that makes it easier for me to look for this particular node. Now I can make a variable, say var, and I'll use this as button, and I'll store this reference in this button variable. Now I can do so many good things. So what I want to do is I want to listen to events when the button was clicked, and to do that, what you do is you add a event listener, and that event listener is to be listened on clicks, and what it's supposed to do is we'll go here. So in this callback function, this bit will be executed when the button is clicked. So this function is called when the button is clicked. And you might find this strange, but I'm using this strange syntax to create a function, and this is something called an arrow function that is new to ECMAScript. And so if this is causing confusion, let me convert this to regular function. So now it's a regular function and we don't need this arrow anymore. So yeah, so this is the regular function now, and we don't need to give it a name because it's anonymous here. And yeah, so we'll learn about arrow functions later, so till then I'm not going to use them. Okay, so let's just say console.log button was clicked. Okay, and when done that, let me give this paragraph an ID also, paragraph. Okay, and then I'll use the similar syntax to get reference to the paragraph node. And on that, what I want to do is I want to change the inner HTML. Now, if you're familiar with JavaScript, you must know what I'm doing, and this is the changed text. Okay, so this will cause the effect that we are looking for. Okay, this shouldn't be style, this should be script. It was a typo. Okay, good. Now we'll get the effect that we've been looking for, and we also get highlighting, but we previously weren't. So if we want to run this, what I'll do is I'll jump to this folder really quickly. Okay, in desktop I'll go to React tutorials inside, and I'll open this up in my browser. Okay, if we open the console also, and if we click this button, the text is changed and we get this function called. What I just did here is called DOM manipulation. What is it is that I get a reference to a given DOM element. I do whatever I want to do with this. In this case, we bind an event listener to that, which is listening on the click event. And then once that event happens, we do another DOM manipulation of getting this paragraph and changing the text inside it. This is what DOM manipulation is. jQuery and libraries before React, Angular and Vue used to have this approach, and then they used to use this approach to build applications. Everything that was happening interactively on the page was DOM manipulations that were directly done. React is a bit different, and let's look how. Before that, this picture was taken during the time of recording this lecture, and this is from the ReactJS GitHub page. As you can see, the numbers tell you the story that it's really popular. Now, answering the question, what is React? React is a JavaScript library for building user interfaces, and that's not as simple as it sounds. So let's look at in terms of what people from React think what React is. So I've opened up reactjs.org, which is the official website for React, and if you look at the top, they have the same statement, a JavaScript library for user interfaces. And if you scroll down, you will see that there are three components to it. It's declarative, it's component based, and learn once and write everywhere. Let's look at each one. So what React is React is declarative. What that means is doing DOM manipulations or having states for different places a React app can be or a web app can be is really not that hard in React. All you need to do is you need to create different layouts or different interfaces, what your application will look like in a given state, and how the rendering or what changes are supposed to be made will be abstracted by React. All you need to do is you need to make layouts that will be presented whenever your application is a current state. What I mean by that is, this is our application, and currently this is in a state where the button isn't present yet or the button hasn't been pressed yet. This is one state. After the button is pressed, this is another state. Now, doing DOM manipulations ourselves, we had to make it so that we tell it what is supposed to be done and how to. We're supposed to take this button and add this event on this, and then we have done the DOM manipulations ourselves. We have taken the DOM element and changed the text. Now say you wanted to add another button that will get us back to the same state. So you have to make another button and do the same thing, add a click listener and change the text again. What React allows you to do is, in a declarative manner, you have to create layout elements just for every single state your app can be in. And React will take care of all the DOM manipulations that are supposed to be done to reach that state. You don't need to get access to every single node and change it. You don't do that in React. React does that for you. What else comes with React? React is component based. Now what are components? We're going to learn that in later lectures in this course. But in an abstract sense, components are entity of elements that are to be shown on the screen. Say this particular thing is a complete component. Now this component has a heading, a paragraph and another paragraph, and this semantics is quite same in all these. There is a heading, then there is a paragraph, then there is another paragraph. There is a heading, there is a paragraph, there is another paragraph. If we write this in traditional HTML, CSS, we have to repeat ourselves a long time. We will write a heading, we will write a paragraph, another paragraph. React allows us to create this sort of template so that we can have a given template. Say this thing I'm calling a card. So I'll create a card component and I'll have a heading, then I'll have a paragraph, and then I'll have another paragraph. But there won't be necessarily anything inside those when we are creating the template. Once you have the data and you are ready to use that card component, say you fill in these bits. Say you pass values that I want the heading to be this, I want the first paragraph to be this, I want the second paragraph to be this, and that's all you want to do. Now to create these three simultaneously, you don't need to repeat yourself. You need to use this card and you just need to pass different headings and different paragraphs, and that's it. So that's what components are on a very abstract manner. Learn once and write everywhere. See, React runs in the browser, and React is not essentially run in the browser. The browser understands React, or the browser understands JavaScript that is converted from React. So when you are building a React application, it gets converted into traditional JavaScript code, and that is run by the browser. But also there is a stack called React Native, which allows you to make native apps like for Android or anything like that, Android and iOS. Also React is used in a lot of different applications, so learning React can be a really useful thing that you can do. Okay, let's move forward. What are single page apps? Single page apps are apps that don't necessarily have the traditional routing sense that we do. For example, what I'm going to do is, if you know from HTML how there is this test page, and say there is another page called test2.html, and those are the two pages that you have on your website. How will you link those pages is by using this anchor tags, and you're going to redirect your browser using anchor tags or any other similar sort of manner, and you're going to move between those different pages. In React, we bind it's not like that. In React, we just have a single HTML file and we have a single element, what's called root element, and everything we do, we bind that to the root element. Then we have a single app component, and through the process of DOM manipulation that is done by React, we just tell React that this state needs this, and this state needs this layout, this state needs this layout, and for that React will automatically adjust whatever is displayed on the screen depending on what state we are in. And that's the power of React. So single page applications are applications that don't necessarily have a lot of pages in the traditional sense, but the content is changed according to what state our application is in. Let's talk about Create React App for a second. Create React App is a tool that is built by the React team, which allows development of React apps in a quicker and faster sense. So what this is basically a tool that we are going to use throughout this course to build our React apps. This is going to help us in working with React in a faster and more cleaner way. If you want, you can go ahead and just download npm React, just React. But using that process is hard and you have to set up a lot of things. You have to set up your own build tools, and you have to set up your own deployment scheme, and you have to set up a lot of things. That can be a really big pain and can cause beginners to quit. So they've built something called a Create React App, which will set up the whole thing for you. How to use that? Say you have installed Node and npm, then if you scroll down, they have Create instructions. What you do is you use this command called npx and you say Create React App and you give it a name. This name can be anything. This is of your choice, whatever you want to pick. Say you want to call it my demo app or whatever. This is just the name of the app. Create React App is a tool, and npx is a tool that comes with Node and its package manager called npm. Once done that, it will run a script and it will download all the necessary components that are used for developing React apps, and once that's done, you can start playing with it. Now I also want to direct you to this documentation page, and that's probably the one place that you're going to spend most of your time at. The URL is ReactJS Documents, where the documentation lives, and getting started with that. This page provides an extensive guide on everything and anything you can do with React, and throughout this course we are going to spend a lot of time here. And after the course as well, if you are trying something new, and if you are trying to explore more on your own, and if you are learning some advanced concepts, or you're looking at an API, or there is some new feature, one place that you always want to come is the documentation page at the reactjs.org website. This page has everything and anything you will ever need related to React. And on that note, I'll take a leave for today, and in the next lecture we are going to talk about ES6 syntax, the modern approaches, and specifically the bits that are super used in React, so that we have the syntactical background to understand whatever we are going to do with React, and understand most of the syntax so that we never fall for the syntax error. Thank you so much for joining, and I'll see you next time.